Hi, this is Diane. Privyet, Shalom. I want to share a story with you today from the book of Ruth. In fact, it is the book of Ruth. This is in the Old Testament. It's found after Joshua, Judges, and then Ruth. The book of Ruth is very significant. It is the absolute story of God's redemptive grace and restoration for the people who love Him. So this is how the story goes. Back in the day of the Judges, a long, long time ago, there was a terrible famine in the land, and the children of Israel, God had struck them down with a famine because they hadn't behaved themselves again. And so there was a family of Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their two boys. They took off and they went to the land of Moab because they heard that there was food and work over there. So they took off and they went over there, and they were living over there when Elimelech got sick, and suddenly Elimelech died. Well, poor old Ruth is there with just her sons. Well, they married these Moabitess women, and they lived there about 10 years before those boys got sick and they died. Well, Ruth was in a pickle now because she had to decide what to do. She couldn't stay in a country that wasn't her own with no Baytob. She needed her family. A Baytob was their social structure, and they looked after one another. And if somebody's wife was left with no husband, they would just take them in to protect them. So Ruth and Naomi said, look, I'm going back to Bethlehem, Judea, girls, and y'all need to go back home. And they go, no, we're going to go with you. So they packed up their stuff and they started walking and heading over. Maybe they had some camels. I don't know. I mean, because Elimelech had some money. He was, not poor when he went over there. So Naomi says, well, girls, here we go. Well, the closer they got to Judea, the more she felt like they needed to go back home. So she said, look, girls, y'all are young and you're pretty and you got plenty of time to find another husband and have some children. So I want you girls just to go on back home to your mom and daddy, and I'll continue on alone. Well, the girls cried. They said, no, we love you. You've been our mama for 10 years. How can we leave you? And Naomi said, I love you too. That's why I want you to go back home to your family. Well, Opha went back home, but Ruth refused. She grabbed hold of her legs and said, I'm not leaving. She was holding on to her coat as Naomi was trying to walk away. Naomi said, look here, Ruth, you're going to have to go on home. And Ruth said, no, I'm staying with you. And she said, what are you going to do? I can't have any sons. Even if I did have a son today, would you ever hang around long enough for him to get grown up and you to marry him? And Ruth said, I don't care about that. I care about you. You're my mama. I'm staying with you. I promised, and now I'm going with you. Where you go, I go. If you die, I die. Your God is my God. My family, your family, we are together, you and I. I'm not leaving. I'm not going to leave you out here walking on to Judea alone, or some old lady to get raped and ransacked. Well, Ruth stuck with her, and they got to Bethlehem. Everybody's so excited to see them because Elimelech's wife is back. Looky here, looky here. They love their families, so they were so excited to see that Naomi had come home, and they're all gathered around her, and she goes, oh, no, don't call me Naomi. You can just call me Mara. Call me Mara because I'm bitter. I'm bitter. The Lord has left me alone. Well, all her friends reminded her that she had this beautiful daughter-in-law, Ruth, who loved her, and she had land there, and she had family, and they welcomed her in with open arms. Well, so Ruth and Naomi went. She must have had a little house that they used to live in, so they went over there, and Naomi said, now look, Ruth, man, I'm getting kind of hungry. And Naomi said, you know what, you are able to work, so why don't you go glean in these fields, and you can go get us some barley, and we can make some bread. So, my cousins have fields out here that are harvesting, and if you'll go in and walk in behind after they've harvested, you can pick up the extra pieces of corn and stuff they didn't pick up, and then you can bring it home and have something to eat. So Ruth said, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So she got her a bag and she went out there and she found the fields and she walked out and she went behind these women who were out there doing the same thing she was, collecting what was left over that hadn't been, gathered up. So she gathered and gathered, and she'd been out there. She'd been out there working all day, and she was in their cousin Boaz's field. Well, Boaz lived in Bethlehem, but he happened to come out there to the country to see his field and check on everything. And when he did, he was out there talking to his worker, and he spotted this really pretty girl out there, and she was picking up grain. And he said, hey, who's that girl? She's pretty. And his helper said, oh, let me tell you all about her. That's Ruth. She's the Moabitess that came back with Naomi. She's married to his son, and she's been out here all day long. Well, she ain't even hardly stopped to get a drink of water or nothing. She's been out here collecting, and she comes every day to take care of Naomi. Well, Boaz said, well, she's awful pretty. Won't you invite her in to have some lunch with us tomorrow? So the next day Ruth comes back and she's collecting the fields, and so Boaz comes over to her and says, what you do? And she says, I'm picking up these leftover pieces. I hope you don't mind. I am Ruth and I live with Naomi, your kinsman, and I'm just trying to help take care of her. And he said, well, you just go ahead and do that. You pick up all you want, and you go into the house over there and you get you a drink of water. And I tell you what, we're going to stop for lunch in a little bit, and I want you to come in and have some lunch. So Naomi was out there, and she encouraged Ruth to continue to go every day, and so Ruth did. And sure enough, she goes out that one day, and he invites her to come in and have lunch, and she goes and has lunch. And he's real nice to her. She's sitting right beside him, and he gives her some roasted corn, and he gives her some extra food, and he tells all those ladies and the women and the men that are in there, he said, look, she's my girl here. I've given her permission to glean my fields. So you boys, you don't mess with her. You don't touch her. You do not rape her. You do not do anything to her to be dishonorable. You honor her. And in fact, what I want you to do is I want you to shove off a little extra stuff for her, because I really like her. So Ruth goes back out in the field, and all of a sudden there's just a whole lot more corn and stuff out there, barley and wheat. So, I guess it wasn't wheat yet, it was barley. And she got like this big bundle of barley, shook it out, and had way than enough more to make bread and things, and took it home to Naomi, and they made bread, and they had food, and they were so happy. And so she said, I really like that Boaz. He's an awful handsome fella. And Naomi said, you like him? Well, guess what? He's one of our relatives. He's our kin. And you could marry him. He could be your husband. Because it would be okay. Why don't you go back? And this is what I want you to do. They're almost through. Now, I'm going to give you some advice. This is going to be the plan now, Ruth. This is what I want you to do. Tonight is the end of the harvest, and Boaz is going to be in the grain house, and he's going to have all his grain in there, sheaving it out, shaking it out, and counting it. And so what I want you to do is I want you to go watch him, and when all those guys get through eating and drinking and they're feeling real good, when he goes to lay down, I want you to see where he is and mark the spot. And then when he goes to sleep, you sneak in there and lay down at his feet. You uncover his feet and you lay down at his feet, and when he wakes up and sees you there, you do what he tells you to. So you know what? That's exactly what Ruth did. But Naomi said, now you better go get dressed. You go take a bath and put on your perfume, put on your nice clothes, brush your hair, and look really pretty, because this is a big night. So That's what Ruth did. She took a bath, she got pretty, she went to the grain store, she watched them down there, but she didn't let anybody know she was there, just like Naomi told her, until they got through eating and drinking, and Boaz was feeling really good and happy, and he went and laid down on his grain pile, just like all the other guys did. And so when he did, no, just like Naomi told her, Ruth snuck down there, and she laid down at his feet. She uncovered his feet, she laid down there, and they said in the story, it's about a little bit after midnight, and Boaz woke up, and he saw that there was this woman laying down there at his feet, and he was so surprised, because that meant she wanted him, but oh, this was not the way they normally did things. But he said, "Who's that?" And she lifted up and she says, "Why, it's me, it's Ruth. It's me, Ruth. You know, I've been picking up that grain you've been throwing off to me, and you're my kin. What do you think?" Well, Boaz took one good look at her and he went, "Yeah, she's awful pretty. I like her a lot. But I'm kind of old, but she seems to have just stuck with me." So he says, "Well, you know what?" She said, "Spread your cloak over me. Claim me, and I'll be yours." So Boaz says to her, "Look, girl, you're awful pretty. I take you, but here's the problem. You got a kin who's closer than me, and he has the right of first refusal. So, in the morning, I want you to wait till just before dawn, and then I want you to skedaddle." He gave her a whole bunch of barley, too, by the way. He said, "You skedaddle out of here before anybody sees you. I don't want your reputation to be ruined. Everybody knows you're a good girl, and you don't do nothing wrong. So you go back, and you just let me handle this." So, sure enough, right before it got daylight, Ruth got up, she got her barley, and I like to think he just sort of patted her on the head, and he said, "Come on now, girl, you just go on." And maybe even kissed her on the cheek a little bit. And she left. She goes to Naomi and says, "This is what's happened, exactly what you said." And Naomi said, "Okay, girl, you just chill out now, and let's see what happens, because God has made this plan." Well, sure enough, Boaz goes to the city gates, where all the elders and important guys, every day, it's like the men's coffee club, and they go out there every morning and they talk and they have their coffee and they engage in just, who can tell the biggest tale and what's going on. Well, so Boaz knew that they would all be out there that morning, including his cousin, Bobby Joe was out there, and Bobby Joe had first right of refusal on Ruth. So Boaz goes in, and he pulls up a bunch of the boys and says, "Hey, all y'all boys, come over here, about 10 of y'all, come over here. I need a witness. Me and Bobby Joe gonna have a little chat." So he says to Bobby Joe, he says, "Look," he says, "I want to take that field that belongs to Elimelech. I would like to buy it, but you have the first chance to have that field, and the only right way to do it is for me to tell you that I'd like to buy it, but you're closer to him than I am, so you got the first right of refusal. So, Bobby Joe, would you like to buy Elimelech's field? Because, it's a good field." Well, Bobby Joe said, "Heck yeah, I'll take that field. That's a good field. I am going to buy that field." "Sorry, too bad, Boaz." Boaz said, "Okay, but you know that you have to take Naomi and Ruth, that Moabitess." Well, Bobby Joe goes, whoa, wait a minute. She's from a foreign country, and they're foreigners, and we don't think they're quite as good as we are. So, you know what? No. My wives would not go for that Moabite lady at all. So, nah. My kids, no. So, you know what? You can have her, Boaz. Here's my shoe. Take it. That seals the deal. Here's my shoe. So he gives Boaz his shoe. Boaz takes his shoe and says, everybody, y'all saw it. He gave me his shoe. He sealed the deal. Because back in that day, if you sealed a deal, you gave the person a shoe. Yeah, he took off his shoe and gave it to him. So he took off his shoe and he gave it to Boaz. Boaz took his shoe and said, okay, she's mine. So Boaz went back over to Naomi's and said, Ruth, you could have had a young man. You could have had any man you wanted. But you did not go after a young man. You came to me. You like me. We had great fun talking. And I really like you. So you know what? I'm going to marry you. I'm going to buy this field. And I'm going to take you. And you and Naomi, you're going to be my wife. So she was purchased. And the deal was sealed with a shoe. They got married, and they were so happy. She loved Boaz so much. And you know what? Boaz and her, they had a baby. And she was so excited that she had a baby. She hadn't had a baby. And Naomi was so happy because God had not just restored her family and given her a beautiful grandchild. It was a boy child, a man child. And oh, they were so happy. And they named him Obed. And the women, oh, Naomi's friends, they came around and they saw her holding that baby up close to her heart and loving on that baby. And they said, oh, you are so blessed amongst women. You are so blessed. May God use this baby to make our Israel great. And you know what? He did. Because the baby that they had, Obed, was the father of Jesse. And you know who Jesse is, the father of David. King David. That's right. King David's what? Great grandmother was Ruth. Isn't that fabulous? God uses who he wants to. And he always is about restoring and redemption. He is the God of restoration. And Ruth is the story of grace and mercy and how God never, ever leaves us. He is with us and has great plans for all who love him. This is such a beautiful story. Please read the book of Ruth and enjoy it. I hope you like it. I do. The deal was sealed with a shoe.